Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at two new expansions for Deep Rock Galactic, Biomes and Space Rig, which is brought to you by Mood Publishing. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, and games generally run about 60 to 150 minutes. Get ready, miners. It's time to suit up and explore new deadly biomes. And if you make it out in one piece, retire to the Space Rig to plan larger assignments and earn unique upgrades. So listen up and sharpen your pickaxes, because it's time once again for rock and stone. In Biomes, you'll discover whole new regions below the surface of Hoxie's 4, which have just recently been discovered. With 4 new biomes to explore, they are full of valuable minerals, but also new environmental challenges, biological hazards, and a bunch of new creatures, of course. Preserve your ammo and be prepared to fight the biggest creature you have ever seen, the terrifying Dreadnought. Much bigger than even the ugly oppressor, Hoxie's 4 will not easily give up on its valuable resources. So get ready to hack, slash, shoot, and stomp your way through icy caves, molten rocks, gooey caves, luminescent, and underworld jungles. And in the new Space Rig expansion, get ready for new upgrades and hosts of new missions, chained together as assignments on the orbital space platform known as the Space Rig. You can prepare for new missions by visiting the Abyss Bar and studying the details of the new mission types, with new challenges in the form of anomalies and warnings which will make missions progressively harder. But fear not, as your doors will advance too with the latest and greatest gear. Get ready to embark on 2 new mission types, the Drill Dozer Escort mission and the Liquid Morkite Extraction mission. So grab your pickaxes and gear up. So this preview is really just going to be focusing on what's new in these expansions, things that I was able to experience with these prototypes. Now, if you want more information about the base game and how it plays, definitely go check out our previous preview of how that game plays. But here we're just going to be diving into what's new. Now, everything you see here on the table is related to the 2 expansions, and they're not specifically set up for any type of scenario or anything. I just kind of randomly placed them out. And as we take a look at each of these, we're not going to do a deep dive into the rules. Instead, I'm going to jump in and show you what's cool, the things that I really liked about them. Now, starting with the Biomes expansion, you'll see that you have all kinds of new environments and creatures and other things, but these environments are really interesting. First, we have this luminescent area, which is the Azure Weald. And here we have glowing pillars that you can stand next to, offer some protection. So standing next to one of these, you can't be stunned and you can't be webbed. Really cool. And then you have these magic holes, which basically give you free movement in the area, kind of like an anti-grav source. And you know, they might be used in missions in some way, but that's that area. And then we're going to jump over to the magma core. Red hot magma lava, right? So as you move into this area, you'll see obviously there's fire, rivers of fire, and if you happen to pass through those, you will have to roll the flame dice and take damage, but you can use zip lines and move across this area and so forth. But creatures, of course, can move through the lava without any problem. And you know, you also have these geysers, these lava geysers that can fire off and do damage to you and your party. So you have to be mindful of those as you're moving around the board and how you're going to interact with those. But those are particularly bad as they fire off. And we have these exploding plants, which are also primarily found in the fungus bog. The fungus bog is truly a terrible place to be, with stinging insects, slime, mold, you have putrid mud, all kinds of terrible things. This might be one of the most challenging regions to be in. Now, these exploding plants, like I said, we're going to be in the magma area, but also here, and when they explode, they could potentially set off a chain reaction of other nearby plants and so forth. But you'll roll that exploding dice, and everything around these will get damaged and potentially set off more. I love the fact that there's that chain reaction possibility. There's also poison spore fungus that you could potentially step on or hit with your axe, and it's really easy to destroy, but you will have to roll a creature dice to see if you take any damage or anyone around you, because they release their vapors and so forth. There's this sticky goo area that will slow down movement and do various things, effects in the game. There's also cocoons that can hatch into web spitters, but you can destroy these before they do so. But all these things are environmentally very dangerous. And then finally we have the Glacial Strata. And of course you have slick or smooth areas, and as you enter into these you'll move in a straight line until you get to the end. So it is just slick ice. And then you have heavy snow, which will slow you down. And then you have these bulbs that are basically exploding ice shard plants, causing damage to you and everything around you. So as you expect in this area, there are all kinds of effects too, like being frozen and getting hypothermia. It all is going to be specific around missions and so forth, but there are areas to thaw out in here as well. So that definitely helps. But again, these environments are so dangerous. So as you'd expect, with all this new environment, all these new creatures and things, you're going to have new sets of missions, new things to encounter for sure. And like I said, the missions might have multiple types of environments you have to deal with. And of course, new monsters like the Stingtail, really cool, and the Rammer, which I really like the Rammer. He charges towards you for sure. But more importantly, we have the Dreadnought. This is definitely a creature to not take lightly. You need to gear up and be ready for this. This is probably the worst that Hoxie's 4 has yet to throw at you as dwarves. And you know, it's huge, it's fast, and it's very smart. Tons of bioweapons it can use and attack with. As you'd expect, it has its own deck of cards that you'll be using. You really do need to gear up before you engage with this. But I have to say, even in prototype form, that this miniature is just phenomenal. Everything they've done for Deep Rock just looks amazing. Just a fantastic table presence, and the fun factor is really high. For me, it is my kind of game after all. So you also are going to have some new weapons, new primary weapons with this set, but I didn't get to experience those. I'll just say that I got to see them and see what they're going to be like and so forth, but that's something else to expect with this new expansion. Now, moving over to the Space Rig expansion, all kinds of neat new things here as well. First and foremost, there are upgrades, new upgrades to add to your dwarves. You have a board that you'll add to your character portrait, and you'll be able to put new upgrades here. Pickaxe upgrades, you've got armor upgrades, and helmet HUD upgrades. So lots of neat new things, and as you expect, there's all kinds of new missions to do with this expansion as well. There's also some new tiles for some small hidden caves with new benefits for sure. Also, you have morkite pumps. This is one of the things I like about this. Depending on the mission, you might be mining morkite, and in doing so, you'll have to build pipes and move them to the refinery to get that liquid morkite out of the ground. Now, these pipes can become destroyed, so you got to keep that in mind as you build out your pipe network, pulling that liquid morkite from the ground. Now, you've got your drill dozer. Now, the drill dozer has 5 health. You'll be using it through the different scenarios as well. And you have the beamers along with the Heartstone. Now, this is really cool. Very tactile gaming. You will crack this open and get the Heartstone inside. I really like that aspect as well. It's so well done. Again, prototype. Pretty amazing. And of course, you're probably wondering about the Space Rig. That is kind of the core component here. So the neat thing about the Space Rig and what it introduces is a small campaign system that lets you create an assignment consisting of 4 missions. And before starting the assignment, you will choose and equip a dwarf as normal. During the entire assignment, though, you will play as the same character and earn those unique upgrades that we talked about that will make your dwarf stronger and better equipped for the later, harder missions. And you will get the chance to change weapons as you return to the Space Rig between missions. So this adds a whole new element, a new way to play. So that's just an overview, a brief look at all that's new and what you can expect from these expansions. New things to dive into for sure. And what they do such a good job of with this game is making it have that epic scale, that epic feel, as well as just that whole tactile experience. From just around the Space Rig board to dealing with the monsters and of course opening up, cracking open rocks and things like that. It really adds a lot of flavor, a lot of fun to the game. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen has been in prototype form, and at the time of this video airing, the campaign has already come and gone, but there's still some time to get in on the late pledges if you're interested. Now, for me, this adds so much more to the world. I really, really like the biomes and the new environments and the new missions to embark upon, and the Space Rig is some really neat things. I really like the idea of how you go mine the morkite and when you use the piping system and the rig to get all those things out of the ground and so forth. But again, the missions are so wide and varied. They add so much more to this world and what you're going to be engaging with. But folks, ultimately, if it looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.